only compare yourself to you, how you were before compared to how you are now.
Welcome to another episode of the Building Well podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Mago, founder of Ahadi Creations, where I serve as a marketing consultant and partner for female founders, helping them push their brands forward through strategy when they need direction and implementation when they need reliable execution. I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is full of candid conversations with other female founders just like you who are sharing insights from their journeys while encouraging you to stay on yours. Let's dive in.
To get the conversation started, can you introduce yourself and let us know what you do and who you help?
Hi, yes, I'm Melissa Esmeralda, email and funnel strategist and deliverability expert and founder of MEO Marketing Group. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to chat with you. How would you say you meet most of the people that you've worked with? How are you growing?
I tend to work with my clients for quite a long time. Generally, like not quite referrals, but usually a warm lead from networking or someone that I know that's in a similar industry. Like they just don't have capacity to work with them. But most of my clients end up working with them at least a year.
Very nice. So you have more retainers in your makeup
Actually,
is more
not
retainers.
really. We just have like multi-phase projects. I would love to
Oh,
have a
okay.
couple
Well,
of retainer clients. I know, yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's just because I get into their business and I realize, well, actually, I know you said you need help with this, but what I'm seeing is that we need to do this and this and this in order for everything to be cohesive, which is why we end up working together for a while.
that's cool. That's even better though, because you're not attached for a long time. Like you could walk away, but yet they still want to work with you. That's really good. I like that.
hmm
Okay. How long have you been doing it? This what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I've been doing this full time for about 5.5 years now, which feels like a long time.
Yeah, it goes by fast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is there any marketing effort that felt uncomfortable at first when you were starting?
I think a lot of copywriters for sure are very introverted, myself included, but like I feel like I have good social skills, so I can go out and like meet people for the most part. But it's really hard to talk about what you do when you're like you just don't grow up doing those things. So networking, even though it can be really effective, I really struggled with it for a long time. Like my first networking event, I went by myself because like I didn't know anybody else who was an entrepreneur. And it just kind of sat in my car for like 10 minutes. I kind of had to hype myself up to go because it was just a new experience, and it ended up going really well. I got a handful of leads. One of them ended up being a retainer client for a while. And like none of that would have happened if I like did the easy thing and just went home. So like it's just you just have to continuously do like the uncomfortable things and eventually it becomes easier.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Yeah, because if you stay in the introverted state, you wouldn't be where you are. So you're doing a good thing.
Mhm.
What are you using right now in business that's reminding you that you're successful? What are you seeing that reminds you of the fruits of your labor?
Oh, I really love that question. I actually have a business journal that I only write in once a month, and it's always at the end of the month. So on the left side of it, I have the day and everything I'm working on, the good, the bad, what I'm struggling with, what's been going really well. And on the right page, I have all the projects I'm working on. So like my to-do list for today, my to-do list for tomorrow. And I never go back and read anything unless I'm writing a new entry. So for like this month's entry, I'll read last year's entry from this time of year and then the previous one and the previous ones. Now that I've been doing this for a few years, it's
Oh,
really cool to see it because sometimes in the day to day,
that
you
is
think like, oh, well, why am I not a millionaire or whatever? But then I'll look at something from a year ago and I'm like, wow, I completely forgot that was even an issue. And like, look how far I've come. So it's a really fun way to be able to see my growth and remind myself that I have evolved and grown a lot. But it's still, I don't know, it's just a fun thing that I look forward to every month.
that's cool. So curious, is that the only kind of journaling you do in your life, or is that just one specific journaling you do for business? Or is
It's
it
the
for you
only
journal-wise?
journaling I do now. I used to every day just because I mean, like in high school, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. It's just something to do. But now it's the only type of journaling I do because it's not a big notebook. I actually have it right here. So it's pretty small. So I don't feel pressured to fill out like this big, massive page, but still enough room for me to leave a good amount of detail.
I like that. So every time you do your monthly entry, you first read that month from the previous year.
Yeah, I do it before or after, but it's really cool because there's I feel like there's big jumps of growth between each one. Because I mean it's a year between them and like so much can
Absolutely.
happen in that time.
Yeah. That's cool because at first I thought you were saying you read the entry of the previous month, but I kind of like that you don't even go there. You're going to the previous year because it will only be better, basically.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool. I like that idea. I haven't heard that before. Okay. Are there any shifts that you've made in your business operations that have reduced your stress on the everyday flow of business over time or recently?
Yeah. I have introduced an entry point offer that isn't an overwhelming around amount of work. I used to do full funnel audits as my entry point offer, which went really well. I had a 100% conversion rate, but the problem is that they were incredibly time consuming because you just never
Mhm.
know how big someone's funnel is. It could be
Yeah.
maybe they have like 3 email sequences, sometimes they have 20. So it can take weeks of time to go through all that. And I realized too that my clients never viewed all the Loom videos. They saw a handful of them and they said, "Hey, this is great. I would love to work on a full project with you." So I have now repurpose that a little bit into what I now call a sales funnel diagnostic, which is a very similar offer. But instead of looking at everything, I'm looking at your core funnel. So only one or two email sequences, the sales page and the landing page that's tied to it. And that way I'm still able to provide a lot of detailed information that isn't overwhelming for the client when they do receive it, but it's not an overwhelming amount of work for me too, because that's why I end up working with a lot of my clients for a long time because running that diagnostic, I'm able to see, okay, I understand why this is working well, and I see why there are areas for improvement here. And I also run an inbox deliverability test to make sure people are receiving their emails in the first place. So I've been able to streamline it in a way that is much easier for me to do, but still provides a lot of value for my clients because otherwise it was just a lot to juggle with other projects going on at the same time. So I've streamlined it a bit.
Yeah. Streamlining is important. And I can see how that could be less than what you were doing
Oh
before.
yeah, way
So,
way less work now, but luckily it's still a lot of value.
If you've been listening to this podcast for a while and have been wondering what it's like to work together, this is your invitation. Visit ahadicreations.com to explore my marketing services. And let's build something that truly supports the next season of your business. Strategy when you need direction, implementation when you need reliable execution.
yeah, yeah. Because funnels, like you said, they can either be the smallest or the biggest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
yeah. And everything. Behind the scenes, what are you currently jungling while building your business?
I am actually looking to hire my first writer, my first team members, which is really exciting. And it feels kind of funny because I've been a writer my whole life. But I've realized that like as I work with less clients on fewer and bigger projects, I love the front end stuff more. You know, I love to do all of it, but I do like the research calls with my clients, past clients. I create funnel maps, execution briefs that are very specific to each client. I present that to them, create a tagging and segmentation strategy, and all of that's done before the writing even happens. And then I go into their software and their platform of choice and I upload and automate everything. But the writing is what takes me the longest. Unfortunately, I'm not the fastest writer.
Okay.
And I realized, okay, well, now that like I see that I am better and faster at the front end piece of everything, I would love to have one or two writers that I can reach out to when I do book a new client and I tell them, hey, can you give me a quote for 8 emails or 10 hours for this project? That way it takes a lot of time off my plate and I can continue looking for more clients. But it's also something that they really love doing. So it's interesting transitioning into that because I'm so used to doing everything by myself. But at the same time, I'm really excited for it too.
Okay. I think I heard, did you say it took you a while to get to that point of wanting to hire? Did I hear you say that?
Yeah, not necessarily wanting to hire. It's just I kept thinking like, oh well, I've always done everything by myself. Like, how do I really know
Okay.
like what my capacity is until I've reached capacity? And I was at capacity for like over a year. And after a while, I was like, okay, I'm tired. I need
Okay.
someone to help
Would
me.
would you say that you reached a burnout and you realized you wanted help, or what was it specifically that said, okay, I'll look for help now?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say I've never been truly burnt out in business, and I'm very,
Yeah.
very lucky to say that. It was more so the projects that I didn't like were projects I normally wouldn't have taken on. The opportunity presented themselves, and that those projects ended up just kind of carrying over a lot longer than I thought they would, which was outside of my control. So then that's when I realized, like, okay, like this is becoming very time consuming, and I would much rather keep the revenue that I'm still making, but with different types of projects because it's not fun to have to work 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah. If yes, if that's not what you want to do for sure. Do you work with contractors too, or just
I
you?
do occasionally because even though my signature service is the email marketing funnels, it also involves like landing pages, website copy, sales pages, and that stuff. I am not an SEO expert, so I do have a contractor that I reached out to do like SEO keyword research for me specifically, just because that's something they specialize in, but I can still write it. So there are certain things that I do have contractors that I work with every once in a while just to make things smoother for the project. Just because also with something like SEO, there's been so many changes lately that's nice to have someone on hand that can help me with that.
Growth usually doesn't require doing more. It requires doing the right things consistently. If you're ready for strategic marketing support, visit ahadicreations.com to learn how we can work together. Strategy when you need direction, implementation when you need reliable execution.
So you're also a wife, so you have other responsibilities that you juggle outside of work. Is there anything else you juggle outside of work while you're building
I
your
think
business?
generally just being in trying to like stay in shape because I played rugby for a long time. So I was super active and fit in my 20s. And now that like I don't have to work out 3 times a day. I'm not traveling all the time. Like it's nice not having to like be in the gym every single day, run track workouts at 5:30 in the morning. And like I do miss it to an extent. But sometimes like it is hard to have like that same level of high intensity workout every single day. It's gotten better. I mean, like I still love working out, but it is a little bit different when you don't primarily have a goal in mind. You just kind of enjoy it. So I probably should add a little bit more structure to that. But besides that, and just trying to cook dinner every night that isn't like the same recipes I've been making for the last few years.
Yeah, yeah, that is its own challenge every night is
Hmm.
for reading for sure. Is there anything outside of looking for your new hire that you're still figuring out with business that you feel like it's not polished yet, but it's something that you really have a focus on making better?
Since I've stepped more into the deliverability space, it's something that I do like talk about a lot, but I think it's hard to articulate the value of it without scaring people. Because since Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo made these big changes to deliverability in 2024, now it's a requirement to update like your configure SPF, DKIM, DMARC records, all that stuff. Otherwise, your emails, there's a high likelihood they're going to end up in spam. So if your emails aren't being opened, that could be a possibility. But like when I talk about it, I don't want to scare people and tell them like, hey, you're going to be sent to Google jail if you don't hire me, if you don't do these things. Because it's also very tricky to learn about it. And I think it's because these companies have made sure that people know this is something they need to do, but they don't really want to tell you how to do it. They kind of keep it mysterious. So I've been working really hard to attend workshops and these high level seminars just to make sure I stay up to date on all of that, just because it is a really important service that I provide, but it's mostly preventative. So that's why it's kind of hard to talk about it. But it is something I enjoy. But like generally I do feel like I'm kind of in this middle period of growth where I am very proud of myself and I'm very happy of my growth. But I kind of feel like I'm just in between these very, very big entrepreneurs and people who are newer. So I do feel like there are less communities for that. So it can be harder sometimes to just have conversations with people and just make friends with people who are also going through the same things. I feel like a lot of offers are kind of catered to one or the other and not so much in the middle. So a lot of it just kind of feels like I have to do a lot of trial and error and just experiment and see what works for me.
Yeah. Well, I hope you find a community for you. Because yes, it is valuable to be in rooms with people who are doing better than you to, drive you to do better. But yeah, I get you also want someone you can just say, hey, what did you do this week with whatever, whatever. So I
Yeah,
hope you do
exactly.
find that. You mentioned seminars that you're attending. What are some seminars that you or summits or conferences that you've attended that you've really enjoyed or benefit from recently?
There was one that I went to recently, or two by her. Her name is Beth O'Malley. She's a deliverability expert. So I think for most people, probably wouldn't be very interesting, but I find it interesting because it's very much related
Yeah,
to what I do. But like again, she just has like so much knowledge in the deliverability space because the stuff is just it's hard to find trusted information on it. So it's really nice to be able to have that trusted resource rather than like trying to do it on your own because to be honest the reason I learned so much about deliverability is I kept getting sent to Google jail like every single year for a couple of years and I just couldn't figure out how to do it or what the reason was and eventually I learned what it was so I learned how to get out of it and now I help my clients stay out of Google jail themselves but yeah, just anything that can speak to like email marketing and all the changes. I'm always happy to go to that stuff. And then Cheryl, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Rurik, I want to say. She's also a top email voice that I would recommend. She also has some additional resources too, if anybody needs help with that.
very cool. Yeah, it's good to find your people to learn from, connect with, and just silently observe. That definitely helps in your niche for sure. Was there a moment where you questioned whether you wanted to keep building your business that you have right now? Or has
Oh
everything
yeah.
been smooth sailing?
A
Tell us.
bunch of times. I think it's almost like a rite of passage for me. Like, okay, well, I kind of have to decide, like, am I going to keep going or not? And like one of the earliest, maybe not earliest, but one of the biggest ones that I remember is when I first quit my last job, I quit my last job on my birthday, which wasn't planned. That's just how it happened. And I quit on that day because my retainer client at the time, they promised me work that was going to replace my revenue. So it's like, cool, awesome, perfect timing. A couple of weeks go by and I hadn't heard from them. So I reached out to them. They said, oh, sorry, we forgot to let you know the company got sold. So I was living by myself and I
Right.
had no income and I still like wanted to do this obviously. But after 6 months, I think it was of like still living by myself, still having super sporadic income, I was like, okay, well, I understand why so many people quit because even if I did have a full-time job still, it's really hard the first couple of business to years of business to figure out like what exactly your niche is, who you love working with, build your portfolio, all that stuff. And like I definitely had a lot of moments where it's like, wow, well, how do I learn more when I'm trying to figure out like the people I like working with? So I'm glad that I ended up sticking with it. But yeah, this first couple of years before like you really niche down into everything, I think can really mess with your head because you know you're very passionate about this and you can help a lot of people, but there's just so much you don't know until you start doing it. And one scenario or one type of client or one type of offer can sound great on paper, but then once you start doing it, you realize, oh, actually, this is not what what I thought it was. So you have to learn to adapt and pivot all the time, which might not sound as fun, but I think it's definitely necessary because how else are you going to know what you enjoy doing?
So how'd you niche down?
Figuring out what I don't like.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
yeah, because I took on all the projects that I could because like I didn't really have a marketing background. I was a litigation paralegal for 8 years, so I didn't want to write for the legal industry. So I think I wanted to write for dietitians, and then I think just like healthcare in general. And I tried pretty much every type of project that you can think of. And then once I settled into like the launch space, like sales pages and email sequences, like, oh, okay, this feels it's very experimental, but there's a lot of strategy behind it. But it feels like you can be very creative too. And that's when I really started falling in love with funnels because, yes, of course, there's best practices and stuff, but it's not like you're doing the same thing for every single project or for every single client, which is kind of like one of the big things that I talk about is that sure, somebody can have a 6-figure launch, but there's a lot more that goes into it. So I create custom funnels that are unique to your business and how your clients buy and I don't create something just because that's what's generally recommended. That's why I like taking a deep dive into my clients' businesses and funnels because that way we can really make sure we're creating something that's unique to them. So when people are going through the customer journey, like, oh, okay, this feels like it's unique to Amanda and her business. It's not similar to a different email that I received from somebody else, you know? So definitely a lot of trial, not really trial and error, but trying and seeing what I didn't like until I realized, okay, this is what I really love doing. And this is where I feel like I thrive.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What would you say is your why? You know that standard question. What's your why? Do you have
Ooh.
that? I have mixed feelings about that question. What is your why? But I'll ask the standard question. What is your why?
I think my why is, well, that's a big question, but I think the bulk of my why is that my parents are immigrants. They came from El Salvador in the 80s, like fleeing the Civil War. So I don't have generational wealth. My parents, they were married for 25 years and they got divorced, which was great. They were not good together, but because of that, I just grew up a little bit differently than a lot of my friends did. And a lot of people that I knew growing up, like they had really loving homes. They had help paying for school and all this stuff. And like I had to pay for for school. I had a full-time job. I was going to school full time. I was playing rugby full time. And I'm really grateful that I was able to do that and pay off my debt and stuff. But I really wanted to do something that I enjoyed, that I was getting paid for, in order to be able to provide a better life for myself and for my mom too, just because since the how long that she wasn't working, like she probably won't be able to retire. So I would love to be able to retire her someday and just to be able to help her out, just because she sacrificed a lot to come here. And I would love to be able to pay her back in some capacity in some way someday, just because I don't like the thought of thinking that like she might not be able to retire someday. So I'm hoping that someday I'll be able to do, like, pay her back some way.
Yes, yes. That's very loving. Now, for you to reach where you are in business, what's something that you had to let go of to keep you moving forward, even now, like an idea, expectation, version of yourself? What is something that you've recognized in the past? This isn't going to keep me moving forward. Yeah, this has got to go.
Mm. That's a really good question. I was listening to a podcast episode a couple of years ago when someone was talking about, I think they call it perfectionism, procrastination, or something like that. And I kept thinking, well, I'm not a
Yes.
procrastinator. Like I do things on time. But then she was describing it. She said something along the lines of you want everything to be done so well that you struggle getting started because you feel like you have to have all this knowledge in order to get started. I'm like, oh, well, yeah. I I did that a lot for a long time. So I
Mhm.
had to start like retraining myself essentially and start saying yes to things, even if I didn't know 100% about it, because I get asked a lot. Now there's a lot of courses about how to like build email sequences and like different ESPs and all the technical stuff. And I used to get asked all the time from newer copywriters, well, how did you learn those things? Did you take a course at home? No, I just said yes to projects because I knew I could figure it out. But
Yes.
sometimes that's just how you have to learn. Like the course, sure, it can be really helpful, but it can only take you so far. Like you have to actually do the thing. So I guess saying
Yes.
yes before I was 100% ready, if that makes sense, because that just really
Absolutely.
compounds over time. And now a lot of those things that I felt were difficult in that time, now they feel easy.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that 100% with just getting going because the example you gave about taking on a project you don't know 100%, if you know the basis of your field, you're eager to learn, you're ready to figure it out and get it done, then you'll excel in whatever project it is that comes. Because
Hmm.
everyone's going to have something unique that you might not have done. That doesn't mean you're not qualified to care for them.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
If something comes up in life and you're going through a challenge, how do you stay committed when things feel heavy or uncertain? Or have you ever experienced that in your life?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think I am notoriously very hard on myself, and I've worked on that over the years. And I think a lot of us feel that way because I think a lot of women entrepreneurs are high achievers and they're hard on themselves anyways. And we tend to talk to ourselves in a way that we would never talk to one of our friends. And I think you have to I had to learn to give myself some grace and not compare myself to other people, because I didn't come from a marketing background. I was single living alone at the time. So like, of course I wasn't an overnight success. I didn't have the resources a lot of other people do now, but like now I do, now that I'm married and all that. So I had to learn for sure to not compare myself to others, be nicer to myself, and if anything felt like overwhelmingly difficult, to not bury myself at work, if that makes sense. Because I think it's easy to just kind of throw yourself in something, but doesn't necessarily mean that you're working on it better. I have to take some time away to step away from my desk, have a good workout and just kind of sit and process things,
Mhm.
because I don't like to run away from anything that's difficult, but I do like to have some type of plan for it. But like, I definitely had to learn to be nicer to myself because we can't just know everything right away. Like everything is going to take some time.
Absolutely. No, that old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Takes
Hmm.
time for sure. Yeah. If you could sit across from yourself 2 years ago, what would you say?
Oh, I love that question. I think I would say that you're a lot further ahead than you think you are. And I know that everything might feel really difficult right now, and you feel like maybe you're not where you need to be, but it's going to happen and it's going to feel really nice just to know that you can trust yourself and that you are headed in the right direction. So stop getting in your own way.
Yeah. Women can very much so get in our own way. That's
Hmm.
1000% true. What kind of encouragement have you seen that actually helps you and what doesn't? It's kind of like a
Oh,
business love language type thing. What what
hmm.
what is a motivator for you to keep going in business?
I think a motivator for me is just to like just telling myself every day that I'm really lucky to be able to do this every single day. Um, I'm able to like I'm healthy. I love being active. Like sure, I have a desk that I work at every single day, but if I want to go on a walk for 30 minutes in the middle of the day, I can do that. And just being very grateful that I know like not everybody can say the same, or maybe some people do, but things are a lot more difficult. And I think just reminding myself of the gratitude that I have to be able to do this, just like definitely makes me excited to get up every single day.
Yes, yes. Our mentality is where it starts for everything. Can you share with us your weekly or daily routine?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, my ideal daily routine is I would love to get up at 5 a.m. every day, but I can't quite do it anymore. I could do
I
5:30, but
yeah.
something about before that, I'm just like, ugh, the sun's not
Mhm.
out. But I love to start the day with a workout. If I'm really pressed for time, I'll usually run a 20-minute sprint workout on the treadmill, and then I'll hit the boxing bag for two 5-minute rounds. So I still get a 30-minute workout. But ideally, I'll go to the gym Monday through Friday, and then I come back home, shower, have breakfast, and then I start my day because I just feel really energized. I actually don't answer my emails unless it's really important for me to answer right away until the end of the day, because I've learned the hard way that if you start answering the emails first thing in the morning, you're gonna stay doing that for like half the day. But if I know that I have like a big task that I need to do, I block off an entire day for that. So Mondays usually end up being a bit of an admin day, where I'm replying to emails. I have to do like small like follow ups and stuff. So like that's usually like a administrative heavy day anyways. And then the rest of the week, if I have a one big task I need to get done, I leave that for as my only to do for the entire day. Because you never know what's going to come up, and things are always going to take a little bit longer than you expect
Yeah.
them to. I mean, I try to get done
Mhm.
with the day around 5:30 ish, and that's usually around the time I start making dinner. My husband isn't home every day the same time, so sometimes he'll be here at 5:30, sometimes he'll be here at 7:30. So I try to prep something during the day, so like when I see that he's on his way home, I can make it fairly quickly. I love air fryer meals because they still taste good, but they're so easy to make. But I try to read at least 10 pages a day too. I like to have a nonfiction book and a fiction book because the nonfiction book feels, business related, but I think it's also important too to just do things for fun, and like reading before bed
Absolutely.
or like during my lunch break. I don't know. It makes me more creative, and I feel like it makes me a better writer, and just makes me happier too to be able to do things that aren't 100% business related all the time.
1000%. That's why most of this podcast is really not about business, it's about you. So likewise, my husband comes home different times in the evening. But I like that you carve out time to have it ready, or at least you work it out so that it's ready when he gets there. That's sweet.
Yeah,
That's real
I
nice.
I try to, but sometimes if it's like 6:45, I'm like I can't wait anymore.
Do you go to bed early? since you wake up early, or are you a night owl or
No, I'm definitely a morning-ish person. I am not a night owl. As soon as the sun goes down, my brain stops working. And like
okay.
if I have to do like writing, it's a little bit difficult. But I can do like little things or like cook dinner and stuff. Like I cannot be creative after like 6:30 p.m.
And you work from home mainly. Do you go like co-working spaces or mainly from home?
No, I'm always at home. I tried co-working spaces, but I think like especially if I'm writing, I have to have so many tabs open. So I have a really nice work from home setup. Like I got a stand-up desk, I got two different monitors, I got my ring
Okay.
light. But yeah, so like I love it. So when I go to a co-working space and it's just one monitor, I'm like, wow, this feels so small.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I'm personally in the middle of redecorating my desk as well to add a shelf and everything to get more space. 'Cause,
Oh,
yeah, I agree. Like I like co-working spaces, but like you said, if you have a good setup, then you're good where you are for sure.
yeah, some of them are really nice though. We had to get some work done on our apartment, so my dog and I we had to leave, and I went to a co-working space that allowed dogs, and I had my own private office, and it was really nice. Like they had a couple of extra monitors. You got to hang out there and make friends with everybody. They had their own dog park, so like I've considered
Oh
doing
yeah,
that every once in a while, just because it's just nice to like not be at home, and I was still able to be productive there.
yeah. I definitely agree with the occasional out of office day, I call them.
Hmm.
Out of office, but I'm still working, but
Yeah.
out of home. Cool. Is there a part of yourself this season that's required you to strengthen?
Generally, I've been doing a lot of training on like leadership and sales training because I know that I'm going to start bringing on a writer, and I've been in their position a bunch of times, but being in on the opposite end, I haven't really done that before. So I'd like to think I would do a good job, but like I don't want to just wing it. Like I want to make sure it's a really great experience for them, that I'm going to be paying them fairly and that everything's really clear for them. So I would say that's something that I'm definitely working on strengthening, just because that's just a very, we all think that we're very clear in what we say or how we communicate, but someone else might interpret it a little bit differently. So I'm just working hard to make sure that I'm creating SOPs that are clear to them, that they feel comfortable coming to me for questions, all that stuff. But it just feels kind of funny because like I haven't been in this position before, but I still find it really exciting.
Yes, yes. Scary exciting is good.
Yeah.
Definitely. So strengthen your leadership. Yeah. And I haven't lately, but I would often listen to a lot of leadership stuff too, because I think all of us should, I think we're in business anyway. We should have some kind of leadership qualities because we're leading our client even. So even
Yeah.
if you don't necessarily have paid employees, it's good to have some measure of those qualities for leadership. So that's good. What are you projecting more of right now as you grow in your life?
Of my time. Because like I mentioned, I was just working a lot of hours, and I was working on this very big live launch project, and with live launches you have to be very meticulous about getting all the deliverables in certain time frames, because the client needs to review everything, then I have to upload everything, and I had certain things that had to get done by a certain date. My husband was telling me, well, if you're working on a Sunday because you have to get this done by a Friday, does that mean you have too much work to do? And I was like, you know what? You're right. And that's when I seriously started thinking about, or I started thinking seriously about hiring other writers to work with me, just because you just get so used to doing everything by yourself that you kind of forget that the day goes by, and like it starts
Yeah.
to wear down on you a bit when you consistently start working like 10, 12 hour days, but then you're still cooking dinner, and then you're also trying to go to the gym. Like I've really enjoyed just hanging out with my husband, whether it's at home or we're going on hikes, like, or we're doing nothing. Like I'd much rather hang out with him than be working at 7 o'clock at night. So like, definitely working more on protecting our time together and just be able to like not be on work mode all the time.
Hmm. Yes. Continuously lightening your load. What would you
Mhm.
say that feels lighter right now that used to feel heavy for you?
I would say leading clients, if that makes sense,
Okay,
because
yes.
I had this weird case of imposter syndrome for such a long time because I don't come from a marketing background. I always told myself in my head, "Oh, well, you don't know enough. How can you know enough? You haven't been doing this long. It's already been like 2, 3 years, but now I've been doing this for 5.5 years. I answer the questions really easily. Like I don't really get stumped on things very often, and these are really established business owners. So it's felt really nice. with my clients, telling me like, "Hey, yeah, thank you so much. That was really helpful," and just kind of having like a clear, structured process and never feeling nervous about it. Really, just leading them from day one, answering all these other questions, and be able to anticipate things. Just because I've been doing this for a few years now, so things aren't necessarily a surprise anymore. And before, especially like when I first got into email, it's I feel like you're constantly anticipating things to go wrong. Even though in marketing, most things aren't an emergency. So I'm glad that feels a lot easier now.
Yes, most things are not emergency. That's true. Yes, yes. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Thank you for sharing that. One last question. Do you have any reset routines during the week?
Ooh,
Either a daily or a weekly reset?
not necessarily a routine, but I have started going on 30-minute walks on the treadmill after I have all my meetings for the day. Just because
Okay.
since I'm always kind of like in the same spot after
Yes.
being on Zoom, having like the light on and getting like all dressed up, it's kind of nice to change it to comfy clothes, grab my book, go on the treadmill. So like I'm still getting my steps in, but like I also feel like a little bit more energized too. And then I just can come back and finish the rest of my day or just work from the couch, which is also nice, listening to some relaxing music.
Well, what kind of music?
I like they're like ambiance music. So it's like classical music. Sometimes they have different moods. Like there's one that is, I think it's called I Met My Love in Santorini. So it's like old Italian, French, and music in
Oh,
Spanish. And it makes me feel like a
yes.
rich lady on vacation.
Yes. Next to the ocean, chilling on.
Exactly.
Okay. It sounds just like I was gonna say, let me look up that. I love a new playlist. So I was like, if it's on Spotify, let me go look this up.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, I listen to I'm big into music. So when you said music, I'm like, what do you listen to? I like that vibe that you do.
I'll find it
Okay,
and I'll
cool.
send it to you.
Yes, yes. Seriously do.
If you're enjoying this episode, be sure to click the follow button and share with a friend.
What is one thing you'd like to tell the listener who's trying to juggle life but also stay the course with entrepreneurship? What encouragement can you give?
I would say treat yourself and talk to yourself like you're talking to a loved one. And stop being so hard on yourself because it's very easy to compare yourself to someone who is probably looks like they're miles ahead, but you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. They could be coming from money, they could be have a partner that's funding everything in their business. They could have 15 years of experience in their business already, even though their business is technically new. And I know it's hard to not do that because we see all these crazy success stories all the time, but the growth really happens in the consistency. And there really aren't big leaps generally in business. If you're consistent, if you have a plan and you're showing up as much as you can every single day, that will absolutely compound over time. And then a year goes by and you're like, wow, I can't believe how far I've come and in a relatively short amount of time. So keep going, even though it feels difficult, and only compare yourself to you, how you were before compared to how you are now.
Yes, thank you for that. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. Don't compare your chapter one to someone's chapter 11. So we
Yes,
all
that was
start from somewhere.
the better way to say it. Thank you.
No, you said it good. Yeah, your explanation was good. Thank you for that. And also, thank you for sharing about your business, your growth, what you're working on in your journey. Can you please tell the listener what offer you have for them to benefit from and how they can stay connected with you?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I have a private podcast that I actually just I just completed the finishing touches. It's a hybrid case study slash additional insider tips. It goes into detail about a case study that I had with one of my clients. I created an evergreen funnel for them that generated over $500,000. So I go over the unconventional strategies that generated $319,000 from one single email. I also have some high level post purchase strategies to retain your customers so you can stop leaving money on the table. Also, have another episode talking about where your engagement might have dropped and how to fix that. And just a lot of additional information. It's not just a case study episode, that it's about email marketing in general, but also to help you implement some of those things yourself, just because I know that email marketing can feel a little bit overwhelming to some people, but it's a free resource. The episodes are pretty short and you can binge it all in less than an hour if you want.
Okay, so we'll definitely have that linked in the show notes. And what's the best way for people to connect with you and learn more about you and your business?
Yeah, you can connect with me either on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Both are on LinkedIn. I'm Melissa Esmeralda. On Instagram, on MEO Marketing Group. I don't post a lot on Instagram, but like I am there, and I will reply to your stories and I will reply to your DMs. Working on being more active on social media again.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. The links to connect with today's guest and any other links mentioned during this episode can be found in the show notes below, as well as by visiting ahadicreations.com/podcast. AHADI creations.com/podcast. If anything resonated with you from today's episode, please leave a 5-star review so that other female founders can find and be inspired by the stories shared within this podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and always remember, together we can build. I'll meet you right here on the next episode.